Here we have another Excel sheet that's going to be used to explain net present value and internal rate of return, the modified internal rate of return. What we have are two different potential projects, A and B. Investment of $10,000 and results in 4 years of cash flow as shown. Project B requires $12,000 and it returns the cash flow shown in the 4 years. So if I want to get an NPV on each of these projects, and I've labeled it NPV here, then I go up on the Formulas tab and click. I find the financial grouping and I select down until I find NPV, and these are always in alphabetical order to make. And I put it in, and the rate that I want to use is, your projects may say discount rate, opportunity cost, the normal cost of doing business, anything like that, but about the weighted average cost of capital. So I'll click on the 10%. And then in the values 1 box, and I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see, I'm going to click in that box, and then I'm going to come down and I'm going to grab everything and I'm going to hold down my right click, go over the 4,000, 4,000, 3,000, and 3,500, and then let up. And then I will go back to my box and I'll click Enter. Okay. And then I go back up and I need to now take off the initial investment. So I add to that, so plus this negative $1,000. And now so that project's returns present value of $1,586.64. So I'm going to repeat the process now with project B. So now it's my recently used, so it's a little quicker to find it. I use NPV. My rate is still the 10%. Again, my values, I'm going to grab years 1 through 4. Start with the 5,000, go over, click, go back up and click OK. Then I will add to that the negative 12,000 initial investment. And then click Enter. And I can now compare the two projects. And in this case, project A is better than project B. And I can do now the internal rates of return. What I know for both of them is, because I have a positive net present value, is that they do exceed the 10%. And I can probably assume that the internal rate of return on project A will be higher than project B, because I have a normal group of numbers here, one negative followed by a series of positive. But we will go here, I'll go to Financial tab again. I'm going to scroll down until I find IRR here. Click. And again, the only thing this is just the values. And this time I do include the value for the negative initial return. So I'm going to start here in the 10,000. Whoops, and I'm only going to go through year 4. Careful not to get. I'll click OK. And usually I ask for 2 digits, so I'll go out here in the Home tab and I'll click here twice to show 2 decimal places. Because I'm doing something that's fairly repetitive, I don't need to go back and grab the IRR again. I simply copy this formula down here and it's going to do the same thing. So I'm going to hit copy and I'm going to paste it into this box, and it tells me again, as I suspected, that the internal rate of return is going to be higher on project A than on project B. And finally we'll do the MIRR, and again, formulas, financial, and it'll be alphabetically MIRR. And I'm going to use the same set of values, and those values starting with the 10,000 all the way through year 4. My finance rate and my reinvestment rate, I'm simply going to use the weighted average cost. I'm going to click here in this box, and I'll go down here, and the reinvestment rate will be the same thing, the 10%, and I'll hit OK. And again, I want two decimal, and I'm going to repeat the process. Now this time, because I didn't make an absolute reference to the 10%, I'm going to go ahead and repeat the whole. Otherwise it would be in this box here, which for me would be H3 for that finance rate. So I'll go to really used, MIRR, I'll grab my values, 12,000 to 4,000. My finance rate is 10%, and my reinvestment rate is 10%. If you don't have those typed into your cells, you can always just type them directly into the boxes here in the function arguments area. Okay. And I'll click back on the home menu in places. I'm getting consistent the way through that says project A or project B.